Good morning and welcome to another Memphis Monday 118. Today we're going to be building a decorative oak case to store essential oils in. We built one about 6 months ago, but we don't want to build the same thing, so this is completely different in every detail. So we got box joints, it's sculpted. I think you're going to get a lot of takeaways. But we're not getting any takeaways. We're not going to get any work done. We're not going to get anything done if we just sit here and gab. So let's knock off that chatter and get to work. What I'm doing here is gluing up the stock for the top and the bottom. I thought the last essential oil case we did looked a little plain, so we're gonna kick it up a notch on this one, and let's go over chalkboard and talk about what we're going to be building. Here's a picture of the box. It's going to start out as a 15 by 15 oak box with box joints on all four corners, but then we'll go after it's all put together with the solid top and the solid bottom, we're going to carve out the center of each one of these boards. Starting from the center, we'll carve out the center this way, and we'll carve out the center this way. At the end of the day, we'll end up with a profile of this box that'll be concave on all six surfaces of the box. What I'm doing here is smoothing out my layup. It's the top and bottom are too large to go through my thickness planer, so I'm just smoothing it out with a sander. Now, instead of using solid oak for the top and bottom, one or two slabs, I actually glued together several boards across here to give me this effect, and then I put this tricolor poplar here in the center, which I think is going to dress it up pretty good. Another thing to remember is that this doesn't have to be a work of art sanding job, because this is all going to be carved. Okay, I got the top and bottom smoothed out. The worry was that they wouldn't be flat, but they're both nice and flat, so that's good. Next thing is put box joints in our sides. Let's show you how to do that. You can make box joints any width you want, down to the thickness of a saw blade if you want to. But one unbreakable rule is that the depth of the cut has to equal the thickness of your stock. Okay, so this is about the fit you want. You want them just to fit in there snug, with no gaps, but you don't want to have to force them in. Well, there are our box joints. They turned out fine. Let's put a little glue on them and glue this baby up. I don't plan on using any mechanical fasteners at all, so I need to be really careful on this glue up. We're not going to be able to square this box up like we do all the time after we get it put together. So we got to make sure it's square now. Well, we got lucky. The box here will be glued to this bottom, and then this bottom will be glued here. We won't be using any mechanical fasteners, and I'm going to hold this thing together with clamps. The reason I might be sweating this glue up a little bit more than I otherwise would is because these joints don't have any mechanical fasteners. They're just the top and bottom are just glued in, and which ordinarily wouldn't be a problem. But I'm going to be using the angle grinder on this when this glue dries, so I'll be putting a considerable amount of force and to this case, so I got to make sure that it's strong. Okay, let's let this glue dry. Here's the contour I'm putting on the box. You can see if I put this straight edge across here, how it's concave in here. I'm going to do that on all the sides. You probably noticed on the glue up that the edge here is proud all the way around. And the reason I did that is so when I scoop it out in here, it will angle right up to this edge right here. Okay, here you can see that edge, and you can also see it up here. But I'm going to take the angle grinder and go straight up and down here and feather that concave surface right through that little edge right there all the way to the edge. I carved out the center in this direction. Now I need to do it in this vertical direction here. I'll be cutting it out this way. Okay, we've got it, the sides kind of roughed out. We've got it grooved out in two directions. Now we're going to do the same thing with the top and the bottom. Here you can begin to see the three-dimensional effect we're going for with it dashed out here in the center. Tell you what, I'll do a little bit more sanding and we'll take a look at it. You can see that by extending that, when I did that glue up, the edge stuck out past the end there, and by doing that I was able to put this little curve in the sides, and you can see the box itself is kind of flares out at the ends. You can really see it there. I did keep the back. I did keep the back flat so I could put hinges on it. Okay, now for the excitement, we got to try to split the case. Well, I never have tried to split a case that wasn't square, so this could be interesting. Here we go. And the hinges will be on this side over here, and it'll open up just like a regular box. I'm going ahead and putting the hinges and latches on, and that'll make it easier to work on. Well, I'll tell you what, the hinges didn't throw it off at all. So everything there looks groovy. There's a little latch I'm going to put on it. Looks pretty cool. I'll go ahead and stick that on there, and maybe we'll put some stain on this thing and see what it's going to look like. Here's our little latch. It's got a little hooking feature there, and it snaps back in place. Okay, let's put some stain on this thing and see what it looks like. I got a lot more stuff to do, a lot more building to do, but I'm curious about the how this thing's going to come out aesthetically. The last one, you remember, we did was, I thought it was kind of dark and gloomy looking. Well, that stain brought out just exactly what I thought it would. It really brought out those box joints in our here's our front. Our top brought out the greens and yellows in that poplar. Okay, let's quit fooling around and get to work on the inside. The last essential oil case we built, we made a little grid of these holes in a piece of cabinet grade plywood, and we put the bottle stand in there like that. But we want to do this in different, so we got a different plan. For our new box here, we're going to we're going to make an egg crate design where the bottles then will fit down inside of the little grid like that. I've made about half of these already. I'm making them over on the table saw. Let's go check out the setup. I'm gang sawing them. Basically, it's a process of cutting about halfway through each one, and with a dado that's about a quarter of an inch. Of course, the spacing has to be really accurate, so what I've done is gone through and marked the exact spacing, put a line in there, and that way I can line up my dado blade in the exact correct position. To minimize tear out, I'm clamping every pass, and I've got a block of wood that keeps the ends square. I don't know if the best thing to do is put this thing together outside the box or in the box. Well, it looks like my system's going to work, so before final assembly, I'm going to put some stain on the little partition pieces, because not putting any stain on them would be a mistake, because then I'd have to stain it while it was assembled, and that would just be too hard. It's almost drum roll time. What I'm doing here is installing some trim around the edge here. It'll hold in the matrix. It'll also provide a lip here for the lid to latch onto. I'm installing it with these little pins. I think they're 23 gauge. We're about ready to wrap this thing up. I'll put a little stain on this trim. And I didn't put any glue on the trim, in case in the future somebody wants to take it off. Well, here's our little decorative oils essential oil case made out of oak with some decorative poplar in there for color, box joints, fancy hinges, sculpted contours. Well, I think it came out all right. Well, that'll do it for another Memphis Monday 118, building this nice little decorative box to store essential oils in. We went with the grid pattern this time. It's carved, sculpted, box joints, all made from solid wood, no plywood at all in it. And from my standpoint, I think it turned out pretty good. Well, anyway, I think it's a pretty fun project, and I hope you got some takeaways. But anyway, make sure you're back here next week for another exciting Memphis Monday. Thanks for playing along.